Howdy, y'all. Jackson here with Icktrick Studios, and welcome back to another episode of the National Arena Football League. It's the mid-season roundup, so no games today, but I am going to go back to Mondays for posting the game of the week and such. So you'll have a game real soon. But today, I'm just going to show where the standings are at and the statistical leaders and whatnot. So we will just go to standings. So start in the America Central. 6-2 Kansas City, 5-3 Rush, 5-3 Grand Rapids, 4-4 Nashville, 4-4 Colorado. So a pretty stacked division there. Everybody 500 or better. In the American West, only two real teams have shown up so far. The Las Vegas Gladiators, 7-1, 6-2 San Jose, 3-4 Utah, 2-6 Rattlers. This has been kind of a surprise to me. I expected the Arizona to be much better, but they've been absolute garbo. A lot of it has been bad AI play calling, though. So, and then the 1-7 Los Angeles Avengers. In the National East, you have the 6-2 Dragons, the 5-3 Columbus Destroyers, the 2-5 Philadelphia Soul, and the 1-7 Dallas Desperados. That's been kind of a surprise too. I didn't expect Dallas to be that bad. And then in the National Southern, we have the 6-2 Austin Wranglers, led by Brett Favre, the 4-4 Georgia Force, the 3-5 New Orleans Voodoo, the 3-5 Tampa Bay Storm. That's been a surprise because they have Peyton Manning, and then 2-6 Orlando Predators, which have just been awful with Rex Grossman. So we will hop back out and hop over to the rosters is what I want. We'll show what the injuries look like halfway through the season. Give me 1 second. Bless me. Sorry. So, only two players are out on IR. Craig Krenzel, so no real, that's a backup quarterback. And they're the guy that got out of free agency is actually better. Craig was only there because he went to Ohio State, and that was the Columbus team. And Reggie Williams for Georgia. Brian Urlacher has been out for a substantial amount of time, but he will be back in time for the postseason if the Chicago team makes it. So that is why he is not on IR, because he's too valuable to have given up. And then Donovan McNabb has been out for a couple of weeks with broken ribs. So they had signed somebody off the street to be their backup. But other than that, there hasn't been really too big of injuries. The one big roster move was obviously it being 2007, being Mike Vick, who played a couple weeks, and then technically he would have went to prison, or he'd been arrested. So he was cut the week he got arrested in universe. So with that, we will hop over to the stat book and show where we are stat-wise. So, quarterback rating leaders: Steve McNair, Brett Favre, Eli Manning, Tony Romo, Chad Pennington, Carson Palmer. Yardage: McNair, Romo, Favre, Manning, Brady. Touchdowns: McNair, Manning, Romo, Pennington, Favre, Cutler. Let's go to top picks. So Rex Grossman, lots of interceptions. Matt Hasselbeck also with a lot of interceptions. That's kind of surprising there. Vince Young, Kurt Warner. Brady throwing a good number 2 is kind of surprising. Best per yard. Steve McNair is best per yardage. He's taking the most sacks. Kurt Warner is taking the most sacks. Least amount of sacks is Phillip Rivers. Pennington, the only guy with a full field touchdown. Which will start by yardage and we'll scroll all the way to the bottom. Grossman, Roethlisberger, Warner, Breeze, Pennington, Olger, Hasselbeck, Rivers, Cutler, Young, Palmer, Wallace, McNabb, Mike Vick before he had to get cut, So yeah, Vic was off to a pretty good start. That way, I think the completion percentage was kind of garbo. But Seneca hasn't played bad in his place, so. Okay. Who are our rushing leaders? Calvin Jones, Larry Johnson, Ahmad Green, Sean Alexander, Willie Parker, Ricky Williams, who are touchdown leaders, Larry Johnson, Hines Ward, Kevin Jones, Sean Merriman, Ron Dane. That's a surprise. He was a kind of a gag pickup, and I'm surprised how well he's done. Kevin Folk, who are maybe Braylon Edwards should be handed off the ball more. Ray Lewis good on minimal attempts, no real yeah, so I'll say McNabb or Jones are the real guys who've got carries. Mike Vick was also having a good thing before his thing fell apart. Ooh. Yeah, no real surprise there. Anybody with lots of fumbles, just the quarterbacks. Yeah. So we will filter by yardage and we'll scroll all the way through. Ron Dane, Antonio Winfield, Edrin James, Frank Gore, Work Dunn, DJ Williams, Ryan Westbrook, Donovan McNabb, Hines Ward, Steve McNair, Vince Young, Jay Cutler, Kevin Folk, Steven Jackson, Tony Romo, Mike Allstott, Ben Roethlisberger, Braylon Edwards, Willis McGahee, Chester Taylor, Seneca Walls, Mike Vick, Ed Hartwell, Ray Lewis, Kenneth Bullock, Michael Huff, Dante Culpepper, Sean Merriman, Dante Whitner, Mike McKenzie, Julian Peterson, Takio Spike, Brian Johnson, Ian Gold, Jonathan Vilma, Cameron Wembley, Roy Williams, Jamal Lewis, Sean King, Joey Galloway, Javon Walker, Lofa Tatupu, TJ Hudmanzada, Cato June, Andre Johnson, Sheldon Brown, Marcus Washington, Mike Vrabel, Marvin Harrison, Mike Brown, Perce Chambers, Derek Johnson, Ronnie Brown, Troy Brown, Al Wilson, Lots of negatives. Alright, on to our receiving. Reggie Bush, most catches, Mark Clayton, sorry. Larry Fitzgerald, Eddie Kennington. He's been a real surprise for me. I didn't expect him to end up being a premier. He's ended his career in 2007. He was a competent receiver throughout his career, but it's just been a kind of a surprise for me. So that he's been pretty much Tony Romo's favorite target. So of course Urlacher was also a pretty good target until he got hurt too for Romo. Who are yardage leaders? Yeah, Kennison at 1 is wild to me. Reggie Bush also is kind of surprising. Not that he couldn't catch or anything, but I would have expected someone else. These big yak guys. Drew Bennett, he's also been a surprise. Who's our worst catchers? Joe Javakis. Okay. Terrell Owens was none. Too bad the rest of his team is garbage. We'll sort by yards and scroll to the bottom. Yeah, just some of the receiving talent there is here. You'd think some of these people would be higher, but for some reason the AA is just not throwing to them. Yeah, like Lance Briggs is the Lance Briggs Urlacher combo, that is wild. Just how much Romo goes to them. Romo's been a real surprise, I think, for me. tight ends, to be honest. The game does not like throwing the tight ends, so a lot of those guys probably should have been not playing line tight end position and should have just been playing straight wide receiver, but probably wide receiver linebacker. But oh well. You know. I've committed to how this is playing. Fine. Giving sacks allowed to the running back is kind of rude, to be honest. So I'd say I'd be one to be more of who I think are actually at fault for sacks. Who are tackle leaders? T.J. Humanzada, Brandon Marshall, Sheldon Brown, Jonathan Joseph, Michael Huff, Dante Hittner. Who are tackle for loss leaders? Mike Brown, Ben Watson, T.J., Sheldon Brown, Brian McKinney, Jamal Brown. Who are sack leaders? Brian Waters, Julius Peppers, Mike Whale, Sean Andrews, Orlando Pace. Orlando Pace is the sack leader. It's wild. Not that it doesn't make sense, you know, because O-line, D-line, Ironman play. But it's just funny to see him in the top 5 in sacks. Interceptions leaders: Brian Johnson, Isaac Bruce, Troy Brown, Mike Brown, Michael Huff, Mike McKenzie, pass deflections: Al Harris, Isaac Bruce, Patrick Surtain, Charles Woods, Kerry Roach, D'Angelo Hall. Charles Woodson is a top pass deflector, but not an interceptions guy. Is wild, but I guess his catching is probably lower than the wide receiver guys by a substantial margin. So it makes sense that like an Isaac Bruce would have lots of picks. Who are fumbles forced? Logan Mankins forcing 7 fumbles. That's funny. Any field goal blocks? No. How many? We got lots of safeties given allowed. Yeah. Or defense. Andre Johnson. Drivers too. Lots of defensive touchdowns. Okay, we will go back to tackle leader, and we will just go all the way through. This might take a while. Lots of players. Nathan Vasher and Charles Woodson, both with no picks, is wild. You know, you'd think Chicago going corners, especially Nathan Vasher, the good corners that they went with for defensive specialists, would result in picks, but it turns out the corners just really do pass deflections. They don't really do interceptions. Unless they're really, really good. Not that Vasher or Tillman aren't really good, but like Patrick Surtain is like the only real corner that I've seen with lots and lots of picks. The rest have been linebackers or wide receivers. Shout out to Dan Campbell. They're definitely we're in the backup territory now, so sparingly playing. Sure, Warner was 2 tackles. Oops. That's about the only way to describe quarterback is multiple tackles. This is probably, I don't even know what these would be for. Alright, kickers. Sean Graham, Phil Dawson, Adam Vinatieri, John King, Jason Henry, Jay Seeley with the most field goals attempted. Vinatieri with the highest accuracy. Mayer, Vanderjaw. Only 3 guys above 60%, but that's not super surprising considering the size of the goalpost. Multiple guys with 60-yard field goals of those. That's also really impressive. Big props to all these guys. Along well with the most extra points made. Only 2 guys was perfect on the season. Vinatieri being one of them is not surprising. Jason Elam having the most 50 plus is also not surprising. We will just go by straight field goal makes and scroll through. Charlie, Dallas kicker must have got hurt for I guess the very end of a game. Kick returners. Devery Henderson, Reggie Bush, Hannah Moss, Deion Branch, Wes Welker, Champ Bailey are our average leaders, who are our yardage leaders. Randall L. Northcott, Jones Drew, Branch, Welker, Galloway. Who else? Touchdowns. Reggie Bush, Miller, Steve Hutchinson. That would have been a 9 yards. So touchdown return on a onside attempt. Who is the longest? Justin Miller with the 50. Okay. We'll sort by average and go through. Bandolo, Burleson, Hall, Shepard, Woodson, Devin Hester has been a disappointment so far for me as well here. I thought he would have been doing much better. But yeah, towards the bottom. Okay, that is all that stuff. Let's just do the rankings. Yeah, we'll scroll through. What is the last thing? First down sacks allowed. So we will scroll through this. Really anything to comment on this stuff. We will just run through it. Sorry that I don't have the game music playing. I just don't want a copyright strike on that stuff, so it's best to just have it be muted. I will probably put some stuff in it on post, so you probably have something going on in the background. Okay, and I believe that is everything I want to show off. So here is the upcoming slate of games, and the game of the week, as well as all the other games will be out on Monday. Of course, only the game of the week is public. Everything else is private. But talk to you guys later during the podcast, and the videos will be up. The game will be up with no commentary, as it's just easier that way. So thank you for watching. Leave any comments or anything you might have, questions, concerns, in the comment section if you have anything. Thank you again for watching.